Good morning, I'm Charles Lejano and this is One News Now. The MMDA has opened up a new route in Commonwealth Avenue, Quezon City today after hundreds of passengers were unable to get rides on Monday. To tell us more about the agency's so-called calibrated response, we have with us Greg Gregorio reporting live from Commonwealth. Greg, good morning. What exactly does this calibrated response entail?
Charles, following the misfortune of commuters who were stranded along the major Quezon City highway during the first day of the GCQ implementation in NCR yesterday, the MMDA and the LTFRB have allowed the limited operation of buses here today. According to MMDA spokesperson Celine Pielago, through this calibrated response, as many as 500 buses may ply the Angat-Quezon Avenue route. The thing is, the MMDA and the LTFRB met with bus operators yesterday, and the operators were only able to commit 40 units to ply this route. According to MMDA's report, as of this morning, only 6 bus units have actually been deployed. Pielago says they have yet to find out why the rest of the 40 buses failed to go back on the road. Meanwhile, the 6 units will be traversing the SM Fairview Quezon Avenue route with a fixed 25 peso fare. Pielago says these buses are allowed to load and unload passengers at the existing bus stops or loading bays along Commonwealth Avenue. There are at least 19 bus stops on both eastbound and westbound lanes of the major thoroughfare. Passengers, though, have to be extra patient. Before getting in, some buses subject them to thermal scan, and we've seen at least 3 passengers earlier who were not allowed to board the bus because their temperatures were above 37 degrees. Charles, aside from this Angat-Quezon Avenue route, there is also another route that is the Dasmariñas Cavite to Heritage Hotel in Pasay City. According to LTFRB, these 2 routes are part of the 31 rationalized bus stops or bus routes in Metro Manila. Meanwhile, Asek Pielago says or reminds the public that the bus operation along EDSA remains to be at the modified operation, where there are only 4 bus stops that can be utilized by buses. These are the North Avenue, Quezon Avenue, Taft or Ayala, and Taft. Charles?
Greg, could you tell us about the situation as regards the passengers today as compared to yesterday's chaos? Right, Greg, could you tell us about the situation as regards the passengers for today compared to yesterday? I understand napakagulo yesterday. Kamusta naman today? Right, we're having technical difficulties. Thanks for that report. That was Greg Gregorio reporting live from Commonwealth. Motorists will continue to enjoy a reprieve under the modified coding scheme of the MMDA. However, each vehicle should have at least 2 passengers. In an interview with the Chiefs on One News, MMDA General Manager Jojo Garcia said the modified scheme, targeted for implementation by June 8, is meant to encourage carpooling.
Hindi namin sinasabi na magsakay kayo ng stranger o hindi nyo kilala, no? Ang inaenganyo namin dito yung carpooling. Kung nasa office kayo, halos magkapit-bahay kayo, along the way kayo, or anak mo, or asawa mo, imbis na magdala ng ibang sasakyan, isa na lang kayo, no?
Here are other headlines we're keeping our eyes on. The Education Department has opened enrollment for the next school year. But this time around, parents or guardians need not physically line up in schools to complete the process. For grades 1 to 12 students, teachers will be calling them to ask about their plans for the next school year and to discuss the procedure. Or parents can call the school to ask about enrollment and how to go about this. The DepEd has scheduled the resumption of classes in August using alternative learning modes such as virtual classrooms or online tutoring. Meanwhile, the president said he would rather open up classes once a vaccine against the coronavirus has become available. Meanwhile, before the extended summer break for students ends, some 205 schools are currently being used as COVID-19 facilities. by the end of the month. The DepEd wants these turned over to school administrators so they can prepare for the upcoming school year. And if the situation improves by July, a skeletal workforce will be allowed to go in for cleanup and other necessary work. The House of Representatives approved on second reading a bill which gives the President power to set the start of classes beyond August. House Bill 6895 amends Republic Act. Lawmakers said it is important to give the President some flexibility to adjust the academic calendar in the face of emergencies, such as the ongoing health crisis. The upper chamber likewise approved their version of the measure on third reading. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Stay with us on One News. morning. I'm Charles Lejano and you're still watching One News Now. Transportation Road Sector Consultant Alberto Suansing told One News the chiefs they're now planning the possible phase-out of traditional jeepneys by the end of the month. But the DOTR is denying that they're using the ongoing pandemic as an opportunity to hasten the process of taking jeepneys out from the road, saying they're merely following the timeline that's been in place since 2017. To further elaborate, we have with us on the line Mr. Suansing himself. Good morning. Can you hear us?
Good morning, Charles.
All right, thank you for your time. Could you give us a clarification on the precise timeline on the phase-out? We're hearing that it could be by the end of the month. But if ever, are you considering granting an extension considering this pandemic?
The original timeline for the phase-out of traditional jeepneys is June 30. When we set the timeline, we were not talking about COVID-19 then, you know?
Yes, sir. But then considering this difficulty faced by almost everybody during this pandemic, are you guys open to maybe granting an extension after June 30?
We're discussing that, you know, in our meeting with at the road transport cluster of the OTR.
Right. In the meantime, do you think this is feasible? What do you intend to do with those jeepney drivers who will not be able to meet the deadline? What will be the consequence then?
Well, as far as the drivers are concerned, in our discussion with them, we're not going to take out jobs from them, you know. But what we told them is that we just wanted to have orderliness as far as the operation of jeep or operation of low capacity transport vehicles are concerned. No.
Okay, Mr. Suansing, how do you plan to approach the problem of capacity? Will you now be able to meet passenger demand if the traditional jeeps will not be allowed to ply roads come July rather?
Okay, what we are doing right now is that the LTFRB reformatted the bus routes, you know, from 96 bus routes, we reduce it to 31. But of course, that already includes some of the routes that used to be where jeepneys used to ply.
Right. As of today, Mr. Suansing, have there been operators who have complied of the estimated 50,000 jeepneys in Metro Manila? How many of these have been able to modernize?
Of course, there are only about 2,000 of them, you know, 2,000 units. Some are adamant in taking advantage of the what we told them that they need to reorganize, like they need to integrate their operation, you know. That includes rationalization of the routes, and if, let's say, for example, in a route there are 10 operators, so what will happen is they have to reorganize themselves and form only one group, you know, consolidate their franchises.
All right, thank you for clarifying those items. Once again, that was Transportation Road Consultant Mr. Alberto Suansing. Around 1,000 people lost their homes when a large fire ravaged around 800 houses in Block 37, Barangay Addition Hills in Mandaluyong City on Monday, the first day of general community quarantine in the NCR. Now we direct with the story.
The blaze immediately consumed large portions of this community in Mandaluyong, as most houses were made from light materials. The alleyways also made it difficult for firemen to reach the site. The fire started at around 5 in the afternoon but reached Task Force Alpha by 6:30 p.m. A few residents helped firefighters put out the blaze, while others scrambled to salvage whatever they can.
Panik ang mga tao. Dapat nga, hindi kami aalis kasi daming gamit. Wala pa kalahati. Wala, kinuha ko lang yung talagang
Yung kakayanin.
Kakayanin lang.
Bilang pumutok sumabog Biglaan na lang. Kaya nagkakot na rin kami. Tulungan na lang po kami ni Presidente na makuha namin itong problema namin.
According to the Mandaluyong BFP, around 800 houses were ravaged by the fire, with more than 1,000 families affected. Total damage is estimated at around 1.5 million pesos. Displaced residents are currently sheltered at the Addition Hills Integrated School. Other victims spent the night along the streets.
Yun po ang problema namin dahil siyempre hindi pa namin alam kung saan kami bibigyan ng pwesto.
Wala na ho kaming mahigaan. Nandito na kami sa karsada dito kami kumain. May naawang nagbigay sa amin ng pagkain tapos wala kami nadala kahit anumang gamit.
They're now appealing for help. The incident came at a challenging time when the country is struggling to beat the COVID-19 pandemic.
Nananawagan ho kami sa mga may puso dyan. Kaawaan niyo kami po sa nasunog ho kami. Sa ngayon, lalong-lalo na po. May COVID pa. Nagsunugan pa ho kami.
Authorities are now investigating the cause of the fire.
Time to check headlines from around the world. Dubai opens up its major beaches after officials decided to relax some of their COVID-19 measures. People flooded the beaches on Saturday, and many of them were not wearing face masks and weren't complying with social distancing rules. Cinemas, gyms, and sporting facilities have also reopened. The UAE has so far reported more than 33,000 coronavirus cases. And Jerusalem's Temple Mount, which is considered the holiest site for Jews, has been reopened on Sunday after weeks of closure due to the pandemic. Israeli security escorted dozens of Jewish faithful as they walked the raised esplanade that is believed to be the location of the first and second Jewish temples in antiquity. The holy site is also home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the iconic Golden Dome of the Rock, the third holiest place in Islam. For more updates, follow News 5, the Philippine Star, and Business World Online. I'm Charles Lejano. We are One News.